Elements of Harmony in Savior of Worlds by RK Striker JK5. Chapter 9. Twilight and Megan appeared once more in Ponyville, at the edge of the Everfree Forest. Twilight looked up at the hole, then at Celestia's son. Well, here we are. She waved the four-legged Ponyville. Ready? Megan nodded and began walking, following Twilight as they entered Ponyville proper, passing by the thatched houses and places of business. Already, merchants were opening stalls in the town square, and shops were opening their doors and hanging out "Open" signs in front windows, stepping out and greeting their first customers. A few stared at Megan or in Twilight, or glanced at them through the corner of their eyes, but quickly turned back to their business. The duo approached a large tree with a sign planted in front, depicting an open book. There were several windows and balconies carved out of the wood and built into the trunk, with an observation deck and telescope on the very top. Twilight paused in front of the double door and waved a hoof. And welcome to my home away from Canterlot, the Ponyville Library. Megan giggled as Twilight opened the door. She ducked her head as they entered the rather large reading room with tables and desks set against the wall, and shelves and freestanding units lined with books. She stood up straight in this rather expansive area and looked around, pulling a random tome from a shelf. Megan flipped it open, running her fingers over the pages and rune-like pentagrams inside. She put it away and picked up another book at random. This one written in English. Well, if I need to know where Danielle is, this is the first place I look. Twilight looked over from a set of books she was cataloging and sliding into their place on the shelves. She likes reading? She asked, eyes widening slightly. Megan nodded as he put the book away. She's got a partial scholarship for the University of Kentucky, but even with the residuals from my novels and the work of Mike I do. She trailed off. We'll get her there, even if I have to go find a diamond mine. Spike wiped down the flight of stairs and waved at Megan. Hey, sup? He asked, waving a hand at her while rubbing his eyes with the other. He spotted Twilight near the back of the first floor. Ah, Twilight, did you forget what today is? Twilight turned around and trotted back to her assistant, passing a stand where Aloysius perched and slept. Let's see. It's Friday. The Weather Patrol has a storm scheduled for this afternoon. She suddenly looked up at Megan. Oh, sorry. We control the weather here in Equestria. She cocked her head to the side. Did you know that already? Megan nodded. Yep. The unicorn nodded and then looked at Spike. So, what did I miss? She rolled her eyes. Honestly, Spike, there's nothing I can think of besides showing Megan around Ponyville and... There was a sudden thumping at the door, stalling the three occupants. Twilight's eyes widened as he hopped a bit. Oh no! Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no! She dashed the door, opening with her telekinesis before she, Megan, and Spike reached it. How could I forget what today is? Spike and Twilight exited the library, finding a gray-coated Pegasus pony with a yellow mane and bubbles for a cutie mark hovering a few meters off the ground. Wings flapping, and the Equestrian Postal Service issued saddlebags stuffed with letters. She wore a harness strapped to a rather large wooden crate, swaying back and forth on straps. A tiny gray-coated unicorn filly with matching saddlebags stood beneath the Pegasus, face scratched up in concentration and horn glowing. Book delivery for Twilight Sparkle! Daisy Sue panted out, eyes crossed even more than usual. Twilight smacked her forehead with a hoof. Today is the day we get new books and send back the old worn-out ones! Spike smirked. Told ya. Megan stepped out, ducking beneath the doorframe. So what's... Eek! She shouted as the crate swung at her head. Her whole body glowed as Twilight latched onto her magic, dragging her down and out of range. Twilight looked up at the mailmare. For Heart's sake, Trixie! Stop the crate! Trixie nodded and reached back, tugging on a strap with her mouth. The crate plummeted to the ground, hitting and shaking the ground. The unicorn's horn stopped glowing as she dropped to the grass, panting. Trixie landed beside her, waving a foreleg around her. Muffin, are you all right? Dicky do, darted Trixie, up at her eyes, still panting. I'm all right, Mama, she squeaked out. She rose on shaky leg. Did I do good? Trixie nodded. Her lazy eye drifted over, so both focused on Dinky. I wouldn't have gotten as far as I did without you, Muffin. She reached out behind her and pulled out a clipboard of a salad bag with her teeth, holding it in front of Twilight. Fish! Twilight opened the clipboard out of Dizzy's mouth and signed it with a tapped pen. She suddenly blinked and craned her head and neck around, spotting Megan as she rose to her feet and dusted herself off. Oh, sorry. She stepped back. Megan, I'd like you to meet Ponyville's #1 mail mare and her daughter, Ditsy and Dinky Doo. Ditsy's left eye drifted away, but the right remained focused on Megan. After half a minute, Ditsy held out a hoof. Pleasure to meet you, she said. Megan smiled and grabbed Ditsy's fur legs, taking it. Slime here. She looked down slightly at Dinky, who was hiding somewhat behind her mother's right ring. Hi there, she said, holding out a hand. Dinky buried herself in Ditsy's primary coverts, but Ditsy unfolded her wing and motioned at Megan with it. Come on, Dinky, she said gently. We both know Miss Twilight isn't friends with anyone bad. She looked back up at Megan. Sorry, Dinky could be a bit shy around new. She trailed off, her cheeks turning red. I'm called a human, Megan explained, placing a hand on her chest. Hey, don't worry, I'm a mother myself. I remember that phase all too well. Dinky swallowed and looked up at Megan. Nice to meet you, she stuttered out. Megan knelt down, holding her hand out again. Dinky took a step forward, rubbing her cheek against it. The filly smiled and toddled a bit forward, and Megan hugged her. Nice to meet you, too. She let go and stood up, looking to Ditsy. So, will you have schools or apprentices up here in Equestria? Ditsy's right eye looked up. What? Oh, it's Dinky and daughter's birthday. She glanced down at Dinky and grinned, patting her daughter on the head with her wing. My mother is helping me with my rounds. She looked back at Twilight. Do you have the old books packed up for shipment back? Twilight's shoulders slumped and her head hung low. I've been so busy with that darn dragon and Megan and Applejack. Spike held up a hand and waved Twilight off. Don't worry. I got it covered. He ran inside, and there was a sudden scraping and grunting. A little help here! He called out from inside. Twilight gasped and tried it inside. She emerged a few seconds later, Spike on her back, and a wooden crate floating behind her. Spike, when did you get this done? She asked, a smile on her face and spring in her canter. Spike held out his arms and shrugged, cocking his head to the side. Aloysius and I got them all rounded up for you this morning and last night when you were busy with... He glanced at Megan as well. Well, with studying! He pumped his fist in the air. And science! Twilight blinked and chuckled. Right. She looked at Ditsy as the crate lowered to the ground. You gonna be all right with this? Ditsy held up a foreleg and salute, before spreading her wings out and jumping into the air. She landed on the crate and secured the straps to her handles. Neither rain nor liquid to wrap up, nor parasite infestation shall stop this mare from her prey rounds. She jumped into the air, flapping her wings for all their worth. The crate lifted off a few feet, swaying. Dinky gasped and closed her eyes tightly. Her horn sparked, and the crate steadied itself. Mother and daughter slowly led the crate off away from the library. Twilight glanced at the door, and a crowbar floated out, wedging itself under the lid and prying it off. The unicorn sighed as the books floated up through the door, stacking themselves in piles around the reading room. Oh, I can't believe I forgot this, she muttered. Twilight glanced up at Megan. Sorry. Megan waved her off, then snatched the book mid-flight and opened up. Oh, it's okay. These things happen. She looked through it, brow furrowing before closing it and looking at the cover. Besides, I'm not sure how long I can stay anyway. I gotta get back and go to my workplace and fill out paperwork there. You've got... No! She rolled her eyes and held it up so Twilight could see the cover. A tale of two fillies. Have you no shame? Twilight blinked. What? Megan groaned. Oh, come on. That's one of the worst puns I ever heard. Well, maybe not the worst. Well, down there! Megan, you should come to my house. I could probably do stuff that'll drive you mad. Pun? Twilight repeated. She took a hold of the book and gently floated it out of Megan's hands, and landed on the grass in front of Twilight as she sat down, gripping the cover with her mouth and opening it. How is it a pun? What's a pun? What is it a pun of? She leafed through some of the pages, chuckling a few times. Dewey, what insane antics you get into. She closed the book and floated to the library. So? Megan blinked. What? Oh! She shrugged. Back on Earth, there's a book called... Wait! She grabbed the last book and read the title. Franken-stallion? She looked at a picture of a misshapen stallion with stitches running all over his body, with 3 cutie marks. What's this one about? A groan came from the unicorn as he rolled his eyes. Oh, it's some dumb one about some mad scientist who stitches together body parts to make new life. She flung it into the library, almost taking Megan's fingers with it. The number of scientific inaccuracies in it are astounding! She shook her head, waving, sending her mane swishing about. Lightning doesn't bring someone to life. It can kill you if you're not a Pegasus. She met Megan's gaze and shrugged. Well, Nightmare Night's coming up, so the horror section gets expanded. Megan nodded. Of course. She took a few steps, looked forward away from the library, looking around some of the houses. How old's Ponyville anyway? Looks like a nice little town. She chuckled. Man, lots of buildings since I was here last. Twice saw her head darting around. Well, you see, it's... She suddenly focused on Mayor Mare as the older Earth Pony trotted out toward them, wearing a saddle with a small plastic box attached to it and a cable leading to some earphones. Mayor! She cried out, galloping forward and skidding to a halt right in front of the bureaucrat. Please tell me you're coming over to berate me for pushing Pinkie Pie on you. Mayor Mare blinked. What? She shook her head and smiled. No, dearie. I'm actually rather glad you did. She leaned in close and winked at Twilight. Turns out she's a rather good secretary. Who knew? The Earth Pony leaned back over her shoulder and pulled out the cord, popping the earphones off. Actually, I'd like to talk to you about my new Trotman radio. It's picking up some, well... Listen to it yourself. Twilight floated the earphones over and twisting her ears. She bit her lip as she listened. It's... music, but... I don't recognize the song. Megan knelt down and held out her hand. May I? She waited for Twilight to flip the earphones over to her hand. She hooked the clips and speakers before holding it up to her ear. Wait. Megan's brow frowned. This sounds familiar. Mare looked at Twilight down her snout and over her glasses. I met her yesterday, right? Twilight's jaw opened slightly, closed and opened again. You don't remember? She waved a hoof at Megan. This is Megan, from the Balloon and Dragon and Last Night in Getting Pinkie, your secretary. The mayor rubbed her chin, then her eyes widened. Then she smiled. Oh, yes! She looked at Megan, blinking twice. So, anything? Megan arched an eyebrow. She paused, falling to her butt, eyes widening. Oh, no! She dropped the earphones to the ground and shut her feet. It's really nice to meet you again, but I've got to get going. Twilight, let's go! Come on! She returned and ran off, digging into a pocket, sighing all the while. Twilight turned to Mayor Mare, then to Megan, then back to the mayor before galloping off. Oh, we'll see what we can do, she shouted over her shoulder. She quickly caught up with Megan and ran to the hole. Megan, what the hell's the matter? Mayor Mare, how does it feel knowing that you've probably had the most appearances of any side character on this show next to Trixie, Derpy, or Dr. Who's? I have to say it's quite an honor. I mean, I've been here since Sweet Taste of Cake, and I seem to make an appearance in every story. I know, it's weird. The older woman finally pulled out a slim plastic rectangle out of her vest and slid it open. Equestria's getting signals for Earth! She exited Ponyville proper and stumbled to a halt near the home. Please, please! The phone beat, and Megan let loose several bouts of colorful language as she looked at the screen. I've got bars! Twilight slowed down to a trot, stopping right next to Megan. She snored and slumped on the ground. Okay, that's it! I'd like a little bit of an explanation, please. The radio signals I understand, but what's that thing you're holding, and why did you mention bars? Megan looked down and held the phone in front of Twilight's face. Sarah, this is a cell phone, Twilight. Wait, that's not a phone, Twilight blurted out. She twisted her head around and looking at it. It's so small. The one at the library is mounted to a wall and is the size of your torso, and it's the only one in Ponyville. Until the coffee from behind caught Twilight and Megan's attention. They turned and saw Mayor Mare standing there. Earphones once more clipped to her ears. Actually, City Hall has a phone too. She leaned in close to Twilight. It's a desktop unit too. Twilight's jaw dropped, and her eyes became the approximate diameter of saucers. Desktop unit? She hopped from hoof to hoof, bouncing around Mayor Mare. How could you afford that? It took a rather large portion of one of my stipends for the wall-mounted phone! Mayor Mare batted her eyes at Twilight. Well, when you're a powerful mover and shaker as I am, then you'll learn how to grease the wheels, so to say. She placed the hoof to her chest. Besides, Ponyville needs to step into modern Equestria, and I shall... Wait. Powerful a mover and shaker? Twilight repeated. I'm the princess's personal student! I want to see contacts if there's a problem around here! She laid in, arching an eyebrow at the mayor. Who the hey? I think we got other problems than phone allocation, Megan shouted. She held her cell phone up and waited about. Twilight, bars on a cell phone show how much of a signal it's getting to it. Right now, I've got a signal through the hole. She grabbed Twilight by the upper arm, shaking her. Do you know what this means? Twilight shook back and forth, eyes spinning. She grabbed it and pulled away. Yes, so? She waved to Hofat. I can see a different sky up there from Ponyville's pattern. Of course it's a physical tear. What did you expect? She-eyed Megan. And why is it bad that signals are leaking through? Megan sighed and went to the hole. Twilight, the signals are leaking through from Earth. It's probable signals are leaking in through from Equestria to Earth, which means it's possible to triangulate back and... What? Mirror interrupted. Megan focused on her. Well, trace back to my house in the hole, and I doubt explaining away the rainbow on the other side as modern art isn't going to hold forever. She swallowed her breath, saying herself before continuing. Which means humanity will find out all about you and all of Equestria. Megan, Twilight, and the mayor exchanged glances. Twilight backed up and her jaw worked a bit. And this is bad how again? She held up a hoof. Megan, what? Is your family the exception? Are others of your kind slobbering monsters that kill ponies? Megan sank to her knees. Well, not all of us. Some. She looked away, wiped her eyes. Some of us can be pretty nasty. Humans can be evil. She waved her hand about. I just know something could go wrong. A smile crept on Twilight's face. Megan, ponies aren't perfect. She looked back over her shoulder and at Ponyville. Trust me on that. We're not all one type, and I figured out talking from your family last night that humans aren't all the same either. But I'm not going to judge all humans based on the actions of a few, and I hope you don't do the same either. Megan glanced away from the ponies and wiped her eyes. Well, some of us can be pretty nice. She called, Thanks, Twilight. I guess sometimes we're so blinded by our own thoughts that we don't see the strengths. It takes a good friend to remind us of that. Twilight beamed with her lips twisted. That might make a pretty good report. She looked back up slightly and kneeling at Megan. Come on, Megan. Let's get you to Sugar Cube Corners. We'll get you some muffins. My treat. Megan stood up. Thanks, Twilight. She suddenly looked at her phone. Wait, one thing. She walked to the hole, looking at the screen. Bars. She passed under it and past the angle of Rainbow Dazzle's entries. No signal! She shouted, waving the phone at Twilight and Mayor. Mayor blinked. She looked at Twilight but shook her head. I thought it has much to do with me. She turned and trotted back off to Ponyville. Got a lot of work to do. Ta-ta for now! Twilight rolled her eyes as Megan walked up to her. The pair ambled back to Ponyville. By now, the town had fully wakened up. Megan waved at several ponies as they passed. Some of them looked at her with mild fear, but most waved back and made the attempt to smile. They approached the 3-story building, decked out to resemble nothing less than a building made of cake, with candy cane poles, chocolate-colored singles, frosty-shaped gutters, a cupcake-inspired top floor, and lights resembling candles. There was a large gathering of ponies outside the front doors, most of them murmuring. Twilight trotted ahead and approached a light-colored stallion wearing yellow shorts over his haunches and flanks, hoarding sideburns, a mustache, and craning a tail strike at his left leg. What's going on, Ace? Ace looked over and held his racket up high. Sugar Cube Corners closed, he shouted, sending 3 mares scattering. He gestured at the door and a sign hung there. Some big order for tomorrow. I need my protein shake, Twilight. How else can I lob missiles over the net and teach my students the ways of tennis? Megan blinked. Maybe go to another shop for your energy drink? She chuckled nervously as Ace twisted around and glared out by her. What? Twilight made her way through the crowd and read the sign. Closed for a large order. Sorry. Will reopen as soon as possible? She stepped over and glanced inside the window. I wonder what's going on inside. Cupcake! I got the next batch ready! Carrot Cake shouted. He grabbed the tongs in his teeth and extracted a tray of hot muffins from the oven, placing them on the counter before grabbing a pan of raw dough and placing it inside. Cupcake, Carrot Cake's wife and co-owner of Sugar Cube Corner, nodded and took the tray of muffins over to a table with her own tongs. She sat down in front of Pinky, who kicked at the table legs. Somehow, this popped the muffins out of the trays so she could scoop them out. She used her own set of pink tongs to pick each one out, set them onto a grate for cooling, and took the still warm tray over to the dishwasher rack. Piggy returned to find another set of muffins awaiting her. She giggled and kicked to the table legs. This is going to be the best party ever! She said. Piggy! Cupcake barked, her frosty tipped mane bobbing as she set a tiny tray of cupcakes next to the muffins. We've got a lot more batches ready! The pig one nodded and stood up on her hind legs, holding up a foreleg salute. Yes, ma'am! She shouted, going back to her muffin bag. A small grin was still plastered on her face. Best party ever! Chapter 10. Megan placed the book onto a shelf. So, you've got the dewdrop decimal system for organizing things? She reached down and grabbed another tome, hefting it to place. Twilight nodded as several books floated up onto the shelves. And on Earth is the Dewey decimal system? She giggled slightly. Great name. Odd how it's so similar. She rubbed her cheek. Then again, your Frankenstein sounds a lot like Frankenstein. She looked over the shelves of books. I wonder if ponies would enjoy human literature. She backed up and her head darted around. Oh! We can move those books over there and bring in a new shelf over here, she said, waving her forelegs about, eyes sparkling. She craned her neck over to peer at Megan. What do you think? The older woman glanced up at the book. What? Oh! She shook her head. Sorry, Twilight. Just checking out the mayor tricks, she chuckled to herself. Back before, I brought a lot of books over for the ponies. The unicorn floated out a few more tomes into place. Oh? She asked distractedly. What subjects? Megan shrugged. Oh, just about every subject. Architecture, politics, recipes, even one diagramming airplane engines. She bit her lip to stop a momentary surge of giggling. From what I remember, the pony stuffed them all in the sub-basement of Fort Canterlot. She suddenly gasped and snapped her fingers. Hey, do you suppose we could go there for tomorrow? Twilight opened her mouth to respond, but clenched her jaws shut as memories from Celestia's school for gifted unicorns assailed her. Rows and rows of facing texts and books stretched out before the young filly. Celestia looked over her, explaining what all these books meant to equestria and ponykind. Twilight! Twilight! There was a pause, and Twilight blinked. She gasped and backed up as Megan's face loomed a few inches from her. Yeah! She screamed, suddenly back and landing on her haunches. Don't do that! Megan backed up, knocking onto a shelf and sending some books tumbling to the floor. She screamed and grabbed at the books, stuffing them onto the shelves, but knocking over more books. She continued for a few moments, drawing laughter from both Twilight and Spike, who was watching them from atop the ladder. All right, I'm done, she said, turning back to the unicorn. Oh, sorry? Twilight jumped into the air, kicking at the air. Sorry, but gotta go see Applejack get some orange juice from Spike. Spike, you stay here! She shouted, landing and galloping at the door. Megan blinked as Spike climbed down the ladder. Did I miss something? Megan asked, looking to the young dragon. Spike shrugged. There's. Who can figure 'em? He suddenly blushed through his scales as he felt Megan's glare. President Company accepted, of course? Twilight galloped through Ponyville, straight through town square. She angled herself for Sweet Apple Acres while running past Poney's artwork, Daisy's flower cart, and Applejack's apple cart. Hey, Twilight! Applejack called out as he ran past. What's he in a hurry for? Twilight kicked to a halt, eyes pumping. Sorry, Applejack, she house shouted. Can't talk right now. I gotta quit to Sweet Apple Acres so I can talk to you. And with that, she ran off, hose pounding the grass. Applejack's eyes narrowed. She looked at Big Magatas as her brother stood there, sulkily staring on a going. Magatas? Your mom wants the cart. Twilight seems to be in a deal of a pickle at the moment. Magatas shook his head. No problem, easily. He drawled out. Make sure your friend's all right. He looked across the counter at some potential customers browsing some apples in a barrel, but looked back as Applejack stood there next to him. You all going after your friend? Applejack shook her head. Nah. Give her about 15. She was cut off as Twilight reappeared in front of her. Sheep's grin plastered on her face. Applejack blinked. Tarnation. She's faster than I thought. She nodded to her brother before walking around the cart. Mind the store! She shouted as he tried off. A sigh erupted from the stallion as Ditsy dropped out of the sky, stopping a mere inches from the ground. I'll take a dozen apple juices, she finished, fisting out bits of her salad bag and grumbling. Magatos nodded and picked up a carton filled with bottles of Sweet Apple Acres prized apple juice. The ciders for later. He set it on the counter and swept the bits through a trough, built into the cart for easy earth pony collection. He looked up as her eyes went in opposite directions, and she crossed her forelegs. "You all right, Trixie?" Dizzy shook her head as she loaded the carton into her almost empty saddlebags. "Wish I could say yes, Macintosh." She pulled out a letter and flashed the address to him. "Some fool back at the distribution center sent a bunch of letters here instead of Huffington. I got my route done early, so off I go!" "Alright," his focus narrowed. "I got Dickie home first, but I'm gonna be late!" Her face fell. "I am so going to owe Carrot Top for watching her while doctor's out." Macintosh waved a hook at her. "No, don't be thinking Carrot Top will be mine, Ditsy. You two have been friends ever since school. That's why you make good friends. Just hurry along, it should be no problems." A smile crept across Ditsy's mouth as he reached over, giving Macintosh the best hooks he could. "Thanks!" She turned before turning and flying off, quickly disappearing into the distance. Applejack followed Twilight down and around a corner into an alley between a pair of houses. She opened her mouth, but shut it as Twilight peeked out the alley's mouth and looked about. "Sugar Cube? What is it?" Twilight tried back, passing Applejack and looking around some more. I know who Megan is," she stated. "I know." She looked to her head and, "I know what she is." She went back and raised her forelegs, placing her hose on Applejack's shoulders. "But it's big, and I mean big news!" Applejack swallowed his skin back. "Now, sugar, I'm not sure it's as bad as y'all are making it out to be." She leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Is it?" A sudden voice from above sent Twilight leaping into the air. "Is what such big news?" Rainbow Dash asked as he descended from the alley. She looked around at Twilight and Applejack, shrugging. "What?" Twilight groaned and motioned her in close to her host. She stood up on her hind hooves and looked around once more before dropping down. "Megan, she's the Magne!" she half whispered, darting around a few more times and eyes twitching. Applejack's jaw dropped before hitting the ground. I mean, it's Halsey!" She trailed off, a blank expression coming over her face. Hail! Her?" Dash's wings beat rapidly as he sped back, forelegs out. "No way!" She dropped to the ground, landing. But, see? Bless the Pegasi! "And the Earth ponies," Applejack continued. "And apparently the unicorns as well," Twilight finished. She sighed and looked over to the sliver of clear blue sky above the alley. "According to Princess Luna, Megan was around during the dark days of Dream Valley and Paradise." "Wait, Princess Luna?" Dash blurted out. "When did she tell you this?" A groan came from Twilight, and her right eye spasmed. "As I was saying, Princess Luna came to me last night and told me Megan had first visited over 1,500 years ago." She held a hoof, waving off Rainbow Dash as she opened her mouth. "There was some sort of same thing happening, where time in Equestria sped up. So, for her, it's only been 20 years since he was last here." She began pacing about, head lowering. "And then, in the library, she told me she had brought over a lot of books from—" She suddenly stopped and shoved a hoof into her mouth. Applejack and Dash leaned to each other. They looked at Twilight as she stood there with a hoof in her mouth. "Sugar Cube?" Applejack began. "Are you all right?" Dash leaned in and held a foreleg up to her mouth. "No, she's not," she whispered. Twilight removed a hoof, grinning madly. "Sorry, state secret. Can't tell anyone." Her eyes narrowed. "I'm not kidding." Applejack nodded, her head bobbing back and forth. All right. She sighed and looked skyward, brow wrinkled. "Wait, 1,500 years? But it's only been 20 to her?" And Twilight's nod, her entire expression failed. "Oh, my stars." Dash looked over, hopping about. What? Her mouth opened slightly and eyes widened. "Oh my gosh." Twilight opened her mouth but closed it and dropped back to her haunches. "Oh no," she squeaked out. "All her friends are dead." She looked to the sky as Celestia's sun shone overhead. "Or changed in ways she doesn't know about." Applejack leaned forward, letting her hat drop off her head and onto a waiting hoof. She balanced it up over her chest. "Poor dear." The sun suddenly brightened, catching every pony's attention. Celestia appeared. Wings flared out as she descended into the alley. She touched down, mane and tail still flapping in the wind. Hello, she said. I bring news. Applejack and Dash bowed while Twilight walked up to her mentor. Princess! Is Megan the Magne? Celestia closed her eyes and nodded. She is. She is my prize pupil. She knelt down, beckoning Applejack and Rainbow Dash to come forward. I heard your words about her friends. You are both good ponies for thinking of her. Applejack swallowed. Well, your highness, Megan's a nice lady. She helped track me down in the Everfree Forest when I went a bit loco. And to think all her friends is dead, it's just plain sad to me. Dash nodded. Yeah, or they're so different. Not that I mean you're and she... Celestia waved her off. I know what you mean, and you're right. She looked over to the little ponies. Tomorrow, there'll be a party here in Ponyville for her return. But before that, Luna and I wish to meet her in Canterlot to try and break the news to her. She looked at Twilight. Twilight, would you please accompany her? She'll need all the support she can get. Twilight's head bobbed her down. You can count on me, Princess! A smile graced the Alcorn's face as she rose once more. She reached out to the wing, struck at the top of Twilight's head. I knew I would count on you. She looked to Applejack and Dash. One more thing. Please, gather all your friends together when she leaves. There's something I have to show you at Canterlot. And with that, she stood up, wings unfurling. The goddess of the sun floated up and into the sun. All three pairs of eyes followed Celestia as she ascended. Applejack looked at the mouth of the alley. Twilight, where's Megan at the moment? Twilight placed a hoof to her chin. Oh, she's back at the library with Spike. She let out a sigh. She was helping me fill out the books we got for Ditsy this morning. A chuckle escaped her lips. So helpful. Was that what it was like back then? The story said she came over a river of fire to aid the ponies. Did that really happen? Dash eyed Twilight out of the corner of her eye. I'm fairly sure that part was made up, Twilight. Or at least partly exaggerated. She shuffled a bit. I hope. Twilight slowly swallowed. Oh no, she said. Oh no! She jumped into the air. This is bad! Applejack and Dash stared at her. Applejack taking a few steps back. Sugar Cube? What's by it? Twilight tapped a foreleg at the mouth of the alley. I left Megan in the library! At their stairs, she slapped her foreleg and dragged it down to her face. Ugh! In the library with all those books! All those books about equestrian life, times, and history! Applejack's mouth dropped a little. Oh, horse apples! She looked at Twilight. We gotta get you back to that library! She looked at Dash, who merely threw a four-legged salute. Twilight's horn slowly flared. No time for running or flying! She shouted as a spear of white engulfed her. Dash and Applejack. When it faded, all three ponies were gone. Megan sat down on the floor, taking bites of toast smothered in honey. She rolled her eyes to the back of her head. Oh, lace is so good! She said. She looked down at Spike, sitting there with a sandwich and a carton of hay fries. You'll use your dragon mouth to bite these? Spike nodded, a confident smile on his face. Works every time! He chuckled and scratched the back of his head, around his spines. Well, except the first few times I tried it. He shrugged. Who knew drains would go up like that? Megan shrugged, but the sound of the door opening caught her attention. She looked over as the mint green unicorn with a stylized lyre on her flank and saddlebags walked in. Twilight! She called out. I'm returning the books Bonbon and I checked out. She looked around, spotting Spike, and then Megan. Her eyes widened as she backed up. Oh, you're the one we saw earlier. Her breath quickened. Megan rose to a kneeling position. I'll remember you for Sugar Cube Corner. Yeah. She placed her hand on her chest. My name's Megan, and I'm a friend. Spike spoke up, waving his arms at Megan. She is Lyra. She helped us find Twilight and Applejack, and Twilight really trusts her. Lyra kept her eyes on Megan. She stopped backing up and stepped forward, eyes carving on the floor of the suddenly silent library. Well, all right, but what are you? I've seen pictures of like you, but you're still so different. I'm a human, Megan explained. She scooted over, holding out her free hand. I'm from a planet called Earth, and I just want to be your friend. She went to the side of Lyra's cutie mark. Do you like music? Lyra nodded, mouth hanging open. Her eyes slowly narrowed as she focused on Megan, or rather, Megan's arms. She suddenly galloped forward, skidding to her heart. Oh, what are these? She exclaimed, grabbing Megan's arm and looking over her head. They're like Spike's claws, but longer, thinner, and no sharp talons. What can you do with them? She asked, looking up to Megan's eyes with an earnest expression. Megan's mouth hung open. They're called fingers. Lyra suddenly let go and tried around, looking all over Megan's body. And your hind legs, do you stand up on them? Do you walk on 2 legs or 4 or what? She stood up on her own hind legs, butting her hooves on Megan's arm. And that mane, is it a mane or some other word? She stared at Megan, grinning. Come on, tell me! Megan stared back, saw a slack. She closed it to her leg. Lyra, I'll be happy to answer your questions if you climb off of me, alright? She slid her arm away from the unicorn and stumbled to her left, letting the unicorn drop gently back onto the floor. Spike walked around, holding his arms between the pair. Okay, Lyra, back up. You're freaking Megan out! Megan held up her hand and waved Spike off. Now, it's alright, Spike. Lyra can ask all the questions she wants, as long as she realizes the concept of personal spice. Lyra cleared her throat, glancing away, blushing. Sorry about that, she mumbled. I guess I was a bit overwhelmed at first. Those hands of yours are so cool! She looked back up at Megan. I played Lyra, but I used my hose for it, not telekinesis. So when I saw those, I just freaked a bit. Megan's brow furrowed. She sat back down, crossed her legs. What? Will you use your hooves? Why not your horn for it? Lyra scoffed and waved her hand off of a hoof. Oh, please. That's the easy way. There's an earth pony named Octavia in Canterlot. She trimmed down the walls of her front hose so she could maximize the use of the toe and play double bass. She sighed, her head lowered. I listen to her concert broadcast over the radio every night, and I want to play as well as her. Someday I want to audition to play at the Grand Gallery Gala and be lauded as much as she is. Megan wiped her eyes. She reached out and placed a hand on Lyra's comparatively tiny shoulder. Lyra, as long as you play from the heart, it doesn't matter if you use your horn's magic, or your hose, or even fingers. Your love will come in through the nose for all to hear. Lyra snorted. Thanks, but I still think it'd be easier using those fingers of yours. Let's listen. I wonder. She looked around before focusing on Spike. Spike, Twilight can transmute things, right? Spike backed up. By a bright flash of light near the door sent him tumbling back, Megan yelping. The light disappeared. In Twilight, Applejack and Dash stood there, the latter two covered in soot. Applejack wobbled her legs, her entire face turning green. Well, light was worse than the talent show! Her cheeks suddenly bulged as he turned, racing up the stairs to the second floor bathroom. Dash simply dropped down to the floor, landing with a thud. She covered her face with her wings and sucked in several deep breaths. Twilight, next time, warn us when you're going to do that! Twilight blinked. Sorry, she mumbled. Her eyes hit upon Lyra, Megan, and Spike. Oh! She stepped forward and looked around rapidly at the three. Lyra, what are you doing? Here. Megan, what are you doing? Spike, what's going on? Any problems? Any problems at all? Lyra cantered back. I was just returning the books I checked out. Her horn glowed, and her saddlebags opened. 4 books floating out and onto a cairn near the back. She leaned forward while retreating. You alright? Twilight focused on her. Well, of course I'm alright! Why wouldn't I be alright? Who said I'm alright? She looked at Megan. So, what have you read? Anything? Nothing? Megan suddenly stood up, holding out a hand in front of Twilight's face. Whoa! She exclaimed. Hang on, deep breaths. Suck it in, let it out. She looked at Dash. What happened? Dash uncovered her face and looked up. Just a meeting. Nothing big. Twilight forgot some stuff and had to tell us. Megan guarded Pegasus beside. Alright. She looked back down at Twilight. I haven't had much of a chance to read any of the books. So, is there anything wrong? Twilight shook her head. No, Megan. I can state that there's nothing wrong. She looked at Lyra. I'll get the ledger so you can sign it. Wait there for a moment. Twilight walked around the corner and folded a large book from under it, letting Lyra see her name in a column. Lyra waved bye to Megan before trying out. I better head out too. Bonbon hates to be kept waiting. It was nice meeting you. Megan waved at her, chuckling after. Liant was interesting. She checked her watch. Actually, might be a good idea for me to get going too. That paperwork I told you about? Twilight nodded. I'll walk with you back to the hole. She turned and walked over to Dash laying down. Get Rarity, Fluttershy, and if you have to get Applejack to kick Sugar Cube Corner's door down to get Piggy Pie, she whispered. Dash nodded. As soon as the library stops spinning, I will. Twilight bit her lip and patted Dash on her pole before turning to Spike. What's the library, Spike? She said. Spike straightened up and tossed out a salute. Aye, aye, Twilight! She looked up at Megan and waved. See you tomorrow! Megan smiled and waved back. Sling here, Spack. She collected her backpack and rifle before following Twilight out the door and through to downtown Ponyville to the edge of Everfree. She stopped and knelt down by the unicorn. Twilight? Thanks. Twilight eyed her. For what? Megan shrugged. Just Spain in the Dragonfly. It was fun. Starting books was fun for you? Megan shrugged. I'll spend time with two friends and eat some good fruit. I met Lyra, who might be insane. She leaned forward and winked. But it was still fun. Twilight shook her head. One thing you might want to remember is that all the ponies in Ponyville are crazy! Her horn began glowing. Megan's brow furrowed. But you're a pony and boo whip! Her words were cut off as she was enveloped in light, disappearing from Equestria. The sun dipped low in the horizon as Twilight, Applejack, Dash, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, and Fluttershy gathered near the hole in space. Fluttershy sat on her haunches, dabbing her eyes stiffly. That's so sad, she cried out. Rarity patted her friend on the shoulder. There, dear, it's all right. She looked at Twilight. So, 1,500 years for us, but only 20 for her. When she learns, it would be horrendous! Twilight sighed. I know. She looked up as the sun disappeared down the horizon. It flared, and Princess Celestia descended once more to Ponyville. Celestia landed and quickly held up a hoof. Please, no bowing, she said. It's embarrassing. The ponies chuckled slightly and remained standing. Fluttershy took a few timid steps forward. Princess? She stammered out. It's true? Magnus is the Magne? She suddenly waved her hooves. Not that I was doubting you, Twilight. Of course I believe you. It's just so unreal. Rarity nodded. It is a bit odd, that mare being one of the founders of Equestria, and the giver of gifts, defender of the stable, and the guardian light. She shrugged. Although her clothes are reminiscent of the descriptions of the Magne's appearance. Celestia nodded, and beckoned them closer with a wave of her wing. Now, stay close together, she said. There's something I need to show you at Canterlot. It'll be quicker teleporting there than walking or flying. Dash and Applejack exchanged a glance before taking a step back. Begging your pardon, your majesty, Applejack began, looking away. But the last time we teleported with Twilight, we ended up on my sake. Celestia half smiled. Don't worry, Applejack. My technique is a bit more refined than Twilight's, even though she's making remarkable progress on her own, she said, casting an approving glance at her apprentice. The 6 ponies gathered around Celestia. Her horn blazed, and they all vanished. The darker halls beneath Celestia's school forget the unicorn's flashed, as Celestia and the ponies appeared there. Dash blinked twice. Whoa, that was better, she said. Celestia darted down the hallway, lit by flickering torches and carved roughly from the rock. What I am about to show you, not many ponies know of, she explained. Twilight was here for her first real lesson, and I ask you, the other 5, not to reveal what you find here. Pinkie Pie raised herself on her hind legs and crossed her bow. Cross me heart and help the fly, stick a cookie in my eye, she finished, placing her hoof over her closed eye. After all, the best way to lose a friendship is to break a trust. Celestia smiled at her. Quite true, Pinkie Pie. She turned and led them down the hall to a large steel door, guarded by 3 members of the Royal Guard. Basswood! The dwarf pony exclaimed. What the nerve! Rarity exclaimed. But she quickly shrank back as the Pegasus glared at her. Celestia paid her no mind. The future, she stated, waiting for the guards to unlock the door and open it. This is the vault, she explained as she stepped inside. Also, I ask you not to touch anything. The books and other items are protected from aids and rough handling, but the spells have a limit. Dash dropped to the ground and began walking as they walked inside. She looked around the shelves, books, and diagrams. Whoa, she half whispered. These are the gifts of knowledge she brought from the herd? Celestia paused and turned to Dash. Even in the timeless myths of ancient Dream Valley, there is a core truth to the tales of the Magne, she said, glancing a sidelong glance at Twilight and winking. She didn't slay T-Rex with a flaming spear, but instead used the rainbow of light. Pinkie Pie scratched her head. The rainbow of what? The Alicorn paused for a moment. Today, you would know it as the elements of harmony. She quickly held up a foreleg and waved the speaking ponies off. And that is also a tale for another time. For now, there's something I want to show you in the back. Twilight swallowed. The mural? Celestia nodded. The mural. She turned back and trotted to the far back wall, the ponies following. She stopped in front of the painting of the Magne, sighing. The paint covering her face was enchanted by an old mage named Spellion. Celestia stood in front of the large wall and the painting of Megan. Do you have to cover the face? She asked. A cloaked unicorn stood by her, and Luna sighed, horn glowing. Paint floated up to the face. Yeah, I am afraid so, the Spellion said. The omens and visions are clearer than they have ever been. Megan must take it to the midst of history until such time she returns. Luna sighed. It's just not fair! She stabbed her hose against the floor. Megan and Daddy and Bonnie should be remembered as more than just myths and legends. A voice from behind caught their attention. But we will be able to move forward in their shadows. The two alicorns and unicorn turned as Wind Whistler hobbled in, her forelegs draped over a walker. Her coat had faded from blue to gray, and her movement was slow. The core of truth will still be there, but ponies will be able to better stand on their four hooves without relying on them. Luna sighed. I guess. She turned as the pain scared Megan's voice. But I will always remember her. And thus, the three faded into myth and legend. Celestia finished. She was sitting down in the vault. Twilight, Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Dash, Rarity, and Fluttershy sitting in rapt attention. I still don't know if it was right decision, but we have managed to carve a nation from the wilderness. Applejack scratched her head. It just don't seem right to me, she said, sighing. Megan and her siblings deserve to be remembered who they were, not some trussed-up legends. Celestia bowed her head and blinked. We lost a number of records during Nightmare Moon, and a few other incidents. Often memory replaced written word, as Spellion and advised Luna and I not to correct any misconceptions. She rolls her eyes. Always a silly pony, that Spellion. She rose to her guided host, yawning. I am sorry, she said, blushing. I'm not usually up this late unless it's an emergency. I will get you back home. Rarity waved her off. We wouldn't think of it, Your Highness. You need your beauty sleep, and it's probably a peaceful night out for a walk. Celestia rose from the floor, toys popping. Oh! No, this and Aloe are going to have to work it out for them tomorrow. Celestia led them outside the vault and down the hallway a few dozen paces. Stay safe, my friends, she said, and I'll see you tomorrow at the party. Rarity smiled, but her right eye began twitching. Party? She went through Twilight and grabbed her shoulders. What? Party? Dizzy flew through the night sky, grateful for the full moon hanging overhead. She descended in Whitetail Woods, then out into the small hamlet of Huffington appeared. She touched down on the ground at the edge of town and looked at the street sign. Let's see. She walked along, coming along a small house at the outskirts, a single-story hovel in slight disrepair. She noted a light in the window and rapped at the door. After a few minutes, it opened, and a blue unicorn with a silver mane stood there, blinking. May I help you? Oh, thank you, author. Here I thought I wasn't going to get to do Trixie. Yes! She asked. Dizzy both eyes forward. On behalf of the Equestrian Postal Service, I wish to express sincere apologies. Your mail was sent to Ponyville by mistake. She dug into her saddlebags and laid envelopes and 3 newspapers at her feet. I'm sorry. The unicorn grunted. Ponyville. Of course. It's... Thank you. The horn lit up and the mail floated inside. Mistakes happen, she grunted out. Dizzy looked back up and smiled. Thanks! She stepped back and turned, wings spreading. Now back to the... The unicorn held her hoof. Wait! She exclaimed. You're flying back to Ponyville. At Dizzy's nod, she shook her head. You'll be back after midnight, if you make it at all. Is there a phone in Ponyville? Dizzy rubbed her chin, one eye drifting away. Yeah, it's City Hall in the library. The unicorn reared back but stopped. Oh, no, she sighed. Okay, come with me. There's a phone in the local tavern. We'll call Ponyville and let them know you'll be back tomorrow. She waved a hoof around the air. It's not much, but... The Dizzy wrapped her forelegs around her and hugged tightly. You're the best! She exclaimed. Thank you so much. Unicorn grunted and blinked back tears. No, I'm not. Maybe one day, but I'm still trying. She pulled away from the hug. Let me get my change purse and we can go make the call. Trixie went back inside her 3-storeroom house and up to the table in the main living room area. A small bag filled with bits floated up over her head, hanging from a cord. She paused before a cart for it with several newspaper clippings from Equestria Daily, the Canterlot Times, the Manhattan Post, and a few other sources. She focused one large photo of Twilight Sparkle. One day, Twilight Sparkle. One day! She put the hoof into the air, but her tired body shrank into itself. Barely 6 weeks had passed since leaving Ponyville, and Trixie passed by the lake off the outskirts of her hometown. Her face twisted by rage. I'll take her! She shouted to the air. She'll be mine, and her friends will die, and then Ponyville will burn! How dare that little upstart mock me! She paused at the edge and looked down at the clear water, still as glass. She gasped as she saw the reflection of a pony twisted by rage. Completely and totally possessed, and alone. So alone, and no one else, so pathetic and weak. She scurried back from the lake. Who is that? She screamed. That's me? Trixie let a single tear down. One day, I'll get the courage to go to Ponyville. And thank you for saving my life. She turned from the corkboard and exited her house, the door closing behind her. She looked at Dizzy and nodded. All right, let's go.